Same time, the enforcement of fair housing laws appears to be weakening. Black unemployment is rising, now at 7.5% across the nation. New voting rights battles, as you know, are taking shape all across the country that could reshape our democracy. Talking about redistricting, of course, in several of the southeastern states. Joining us tonight to talk about all of this is Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal, representing Washington's 7th District. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me, Joyce.
So much to discuss.
So much, I know.
Okay, let's first talk about these actions by the president related to civil rights. Do you see them as isolated decisions, or do you see it part of a coordinated rollback of civil rights
It's definitely part of a coordinated rollback, and we have seen this. We actually saw it outlined in Project 2025, and now we're seeing it be implemented in all these ways. I mean, in what world would you think that in 2026 it would be okay for federal workplaces to be segregated? That is literally what we're seeing now. They are taking away everything that has to do with protection of civil rights that people in this country fought for so long and won decades and decades ago. But you take that, you combine it with all of the anti-DEI initiatives, and then you add to that the voting rights restrictions now that have been completely gutted, rolled back in terms of allowing people to gerrymander as long as it's partisan, you know, which is fine. And so, but if you read that Supreme Court decision in Louisiana v. Calais, it's really horrific because it says there is no discrimination anymore in the South. It says that you can't use historical discrimination, and you have to have intent. So it has to be both present and intent, and it has to be directly related to your voting behavior, except you can't use block voting. So if a group of Black Americans votes you know, in the same way, that can't be taken the way it was taken before. So there's all kinds of things that have made it absolutely impossible to ensure that we protect civil rights in this country. And I think that is deeply distressing. It is what we have to change the minute we get control of Congress again, and that is going to require us to pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act that we passed in several House sessions, but it's going to require that we go to a simple majority in the Senate, because I don't think we're going to have a time when that Jim Crow legacy filibuster is going to allow us to change things like voting rights and assure that we are protecting those.
What do you think are the real world impacts of rescinding anti-discrimination rules, especially on the federal level with contractors, as this one clause was rescinded? Yeah. What is the real world impact of that on people?
I think the real world impact is that people are going to be discriminated against in employment, in housing, in treatment, just, you know, being out there, certainly in the workplace. And we are going to have an increasing inequality in our society as a result of that. But I also think it's not just about the people who are impacted. Let's remember that these diversity, equity, inclusion initiatives are good for everybody. It is what a country should do if they want to get the contributions of everybody, if they want to ensure that even if you're not from a protected class, that you are still getting the benefits of what that protected class has to offer to us as a society. It makes us all better to have more diversity at the table, to be able to uplift everyone, and to make sure that we're not leaving behind any one group of people.
And what are you hearing from agencies, from some of the institutions under pressure with this DEI crackdown about how they're being impacted? Are they feeling the pressure? Are they complying? So. What are you hearing from people on the inside?
Look, I think they feel like they have to comply because the administration is also extremely aggressive about going after anybody who is not complying. We see it even with the universities. We see it in all these different fields. And so, you know, people are trying to make sure that they continue to keep talent at the table, because at the end of the day, that's what this is also about. But it is extremely difficult because the administration in every single department is so, you know, is so committed to this idea that we are going to prioritize, for example, Afrikaners, white Afrikaners who come to this country, but we're not going to allow Haitians to stay here. I mean, there are all kinds of impacts to the different agencies where this is taking place.
So you're a woman of color.
Yes.
I am a woman of color.
Yes.
I'm curious what you make of the psychological impact for Americans. for Americans of color? What is
Yeah.
the psychological impact of these policy changes?
I mean, I think that I am spending a lot of time just trying to lift people up because it is so painful for so many people, and certainly for the African American community that thought we had made significant strides forward during the civil rights movement, to now see this again for every community. I mean, I go to this is AA and HPI Heritage Month, and we have a big community of AA and HPI folks here in Seattle, and people tell me that they feel like they don't belong. They feel like they should leave the United States. They feel like there's no opportunity for them. I came to this country as a 16-year-old brown woman with nothing in my pocket as an immigrant, and here I am as a member of Congress, and I think that there's a lot of people out there who feel like they're never going to have that opportunity, and that this is not a good place to raise their kids. This is not a good place to be for them as human beings. So there's just a level of disrespect that I think is very isolating, and there's a lot of people who don't believe that America is actually a place that is going to be inclusive for them.
I hear from people that, if you take them independently, these actions, it's kind of like a poke.
Yeah.
But after a while, it's like a big punch in the arm, right?
It is, and you see it.
Yeah.
I mean, when you see it laid out, you can't think that this is just one individual action. It is a coordinated effort to keep a group of people down.
We appreciate your time.
Yeah,
I wish
thank
we
you
had
so
all
much
of
for
the other
having
topics
me.
we could talk about,
Yes.
redistricting and the impact on the economy and many, many other things. So
Yes.
will you please come back?
I will
in the
come
days
back,
and weeks ahead,
absolutely.
so we can
Thank you for
talk about
having me.
all of the things that you all are thinking about at home as well. Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal, a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, Joyce.